Hi. When we look at today's scriptural passages, the first reading comes from the book of Samuel, and the second one from the Gospel according to Mark. It's all about how we see our vision of things. In the first reading, it tells how Samuel was asked to find the next king of Israel, and goes to Abinab and asks to see his sons. And sons line up, and Samuel prophetically says, no, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Then asks, do you have any other sons? And he says, yeah, there's this little scrawny kid out there in the desert who's watching the sheep. He said, bring him in. And in comes David, and Samuel sees it. He sees in him what no one else could see. He sees what he can become. Now, David had much to go through and did a whole bunch of things wrong, but he was the one that God anointed. And once God anoints you, you're anointed. Samuel had to see what God sees, and had to select what God selected, not what he saw. And so, we fold this into the second reading, the gospel. And what the Pharisees see is that Christ's apostles are working on the Sabbath. They are picking grains from wheat and eating them. And this was forbidden, that there was no work according to the law of Moses, the Mosaic law, that no one could work on Sunday. So all they saw was the work. They didn't see the need for the nutrition. Their eyes were blinded by rules. and they were unable to see beyond, the law. If we're not careful, you and I as Catholics, we too can be so lost behind the rules that we don't understand the reasoning for the rules, the source of the rules, the joy of the rules. The rules are not there to hurt us. The rules exist so that we can see God more clearly, more advantageously, more joyfully, more gloriously. That's the purpose of it all. And that's what we're called to see. I'm going to give you a little story. A long time ago, back when I was a teenager, and I was at a dance once, and I saw this girl. Boy, this girl was so cute. And I wanted to dance with her because I wanted to meet her. I was 16, 17 years old. So I walked up to the girl, pretty as she could be. Now, let me give you a little backstory. I'm a nerd. Was a nerd, am a nerd, will always be a nerd. And just love to interact with people who have some kind of intelligentsia. So I walked up to the girl and I said, would you like to dance? And she responded, you talking to me? And I caught my breath, and I looked at the girl sitting next to her. I said, no, I was talking to her. Now, that sounds cruel. But from my perception, what I saw was this beautiful little girl. And what I heard back from her was that she wasn't as what I hoped she would be. I know that sounds cruel and all of that, but I was 16 years old, and I tell you this story because I was driven by what I saw, and what I heard wasn't what I was looking for. And that happens to us, and I've drawn on that experience in two ways. One, to not try to perceive who someone is before I meet them. And after I meet them, if they are who they are, I got to let them be who they are. But that took spiritual growth for me to begin to understand that. It also took spiritual growth for me to be able to see people and to understand who they are. They don't need me to accept them because God already did that. What it took for me was to appreciate what God had done in them and appreciate how God is working through them, to see in them the gifts as best I can that God has given them. That's who and what you and I are called to be, not to center everything on the rules, but to center everything on what the rules cause us to be and how we are to grow closer and closer to Christ. Because someone has recognized there's certain things we need to do in order to find a relationship with God. And once we find our relationship with God, once you and I, my friend, have found a joy in our relationship with God, that's when we, with confidence, say to our friend, to our God, who we've given glory, Lord, what are we going to do today? God bless.